Do you have a contract or just a piece of paper? It's possible that you have what you think is a contract, but in reality, it does not protect you. It is not legally enforceable or binding in the eyes of the law, unless it has the key ingredients, the key elements that I'm going to share with you today. But first, let me introduce myself. I am Chayla Jackson, a business attorney for purpose-driven CEOs. I am also the founder of my law firm, Legacy Legal and Consulting Firm, a virtual law firm for CEOs on the go, empowering and equipping CEOs to protect your brand, build a legacy, and secure your wealth. So let's talk about this contract. I had a client come to me once with a breach of contract case. They drafted their own contract, had it signed by the other party, and this contract was for 6 figures. When the other party decided not to pay, they came to me to see if I could get payment for them. Now, here's the thing. When I looked at the contract they drafted for themselves, I noticed that there was a key element missing, meaning that if they had decided to sue in court, chances are the court would have dismissed the case because there was no contract. It was missing a key element that I'm going to share with you in just a moment. But we didn't go to court. We went to the settlement table, and we was able to settle that contract for 5 figures, all because of some of the key elements that I'm going to share with you now. So I know that all of us at some point have cooked. I want to break this down and make it simple for you. All of us has cooked at some point, right? We got to eat, so we cook. And if you don't cook, then pretend you do for the purposes of this video. But when you're cooking, you can be creative. You can add things. You can jazz it up a bit. But when you bake, baking is a whole nother thing. When you bake, you actually have to follow the instructions, because if you miss one ingredient, the whole recipe can fall apart. Now, with baking, there are some ingredients that you can substitute in. If you don't have this in your pantry, such as canola oil, you might be able to substitute another kind of oil. But when it comes to contracts, I want you to think of contracts like baking. But in this recipe, you cannot substitute not one of these ingredients if you want a legally enforceable and binding contract. So what ingredients do you need to make a contract? Well, first, you need a clear offer. You need a clear offer. A clear offer lays out what are the terms or the proposed terms of this deal. What are you proposing? What is the offer? The second ingredient you need to make a contract is consideration. Consideration is what's called the bargain for exchange. What is the value being exchanged between the parties? Now, typically in business contracts, this is the service or product in exchange for money. That is the value being exchanged. Both parties are receiving something of value. It's been bargained for. The third ingredient you need to make a contract is acceptance. You need acceptance of the actual offer. And so typically this is done when someone signs the contract showing that they have accepted the terms that were offered. Now, I'm going to stop here before I go on to the other ingredients, because I need you to understand that what I just gave you, they teach us on day 1 of contracts in law school. I kid you not. We learned that in law school. Offer, consideration, and acceptance. You need this. So if you are at the negotiation table and you're throwing out offers, understand that if someone throws out another offer, that is not an acceptance to your original offer. It is a counter offer, meaning they have rejected your original offer and they have given another offer. So when you are negotiating, you have to understand when has a contract been made, and acceptance has to be to the original terms that were given, or else it's a rejection. Now, I'm not going to get into more contracts today because I love contracts and I just want to stay on topic. So we're going to stay on topic. And so the first 3 ingredients to make a contract are essential. They are an offer, a clear offer. They are consideration, the bargain, what is the value being exchanged, and the third is acceptance. So what are the other ingredients to make a contract? Well, the fourth ingredient is the intent to be legally bound. If the parties do not intend to be legally bound, then there is no contract. So it's possible for a contract to be considered a gift rather than an actual business exchange. So you want to be clear that the parties intend to be legally bound. It's a required ingredient to make a legally enforceable and binding contract. Ingredient number 5 is capacity. There has to be capacity. Now, when I talk about capacity, I'm talking about mental capacity, but I'm also talking about age. So the parties to a contract need to have the capacity mentally to legally bind themselves to the contract. So if someone is mentally challenged or mentally impaired, there could be an issue foundationally with the contract. Is there a contract? So if someone has dementia, Alzheimer's, if someone has been intoxicated at the time of signing this contract, there may be an issue with it being a contract because capacity has not been fulfilled. The other area is age. So children, and I don't want to call them children, so some of them aren't children, but let's say anyone under the age of 18, that can be children or teens, they don't have the capacity to legally bind a contract. But there are some teenagers, even though they're under the age of 18, that can enter contracts. However, they have a certain period where they can retract the contract, meaning there was no contract. So if you're dealing with someone, you want to make sure that they are over the age of 18. So you have to have capacity mentally as well as age. The seventh ingredient, am I on 7 or 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients, excuse me. The sixth ingredient is legality. Legality. So number 6, the sixth ingredient is legality. Now for legality, the contract has to be for something legal. So contracts are under state law. They're governed by state law. So if the contract is for something that is illegal by state law, public policy, or the federal government, the federal law, your contract does not exist because you cannot contract for something that is illegal. And our last ingredient for making a contract is authority. Authority. For most of you, your contracts are with other business owners. And so you want to make sure that the person you are talking to and dealing with has the authority to, one, not just speak to you or to make this deal, but they have the authority to bind not just themselves, but the company to the terms of this deal. If they do not have legal authority to sign and bind, you, my friend, do not have a contract with the intended party. And so those are the ingredients to making a contract. Remember, just like baking, you need every single one of these ingredients to make a contract, to make sure that it is legally enforceable, but also binding, because you don't want to find out when you get to court that you didn't have a contract, but you had a piece of paper, because you did not have these 7 ingredients: a clear offer, consideration, acceptance to the original offer, the intent to be legally bound, capacity, legality, and last but certainly not least, authority. If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe to this channel and share this with someone else so that they know how to make a contract and not just a piece of paper.